we saved the best till last here to sustain effort and persistence. See what we did there? So we have a really brilliant panel lined up to finish. So I won't talk too much about the Students with Disabilities Advisory Group because Katie McNamara, one of the co-chairs, is going to help us to lead out in this session and introduce the gang. So Katie, do you want to come on and the rest of you join us on stage?
Yeah, so I think we're all ready to get started. Thank you all so much for being here today, and we're really, really excited to have this panel, and it's a nice one to kind of end on and just bring it back down to the ground level of being with students. So, who are our students? What's going to happen? So, we are the Students with Disabilities Advisory Group, which is a coalition between AHEAD and Aontas na Mochlainn and Éireann or AMLÉ, where we talk about disability, and we feed into strategy and policy and shape how well are further and higher education levels doing in providing these accommodations and providing, I suppose, reasonable supports for those who are disabled in further and higher education. So I'm going to get the panelists to introduce, or I should probably introduce myself first. My name is Kaylee. I am a GOI Technical Institute student doing social studies and youth work. And Chantal, do you want to kick us off?
I'm Chantal. I'm from SCTU in Carlow.
And do you want to tell us also, sorry, a little bit about your education journey as well, your level?
Oh, sorry. I'm a level 8 law LLB.
Brilliant.
I'm Cal De Nicholas. I'm a student at Maynooth University, and I'm in my 3rd year of psychology.
I'm Elena Hearn. I'm a 2nd year criminology student, and I'm in UCC.
Hello everyone, my name is Sean. I'm a 3rd year student in University of Limerick, studying business, majoring in human resource management and minoring in organisational psychology.
Brilliant. So I'll just crack straight into the questions. So Chantal, as a student with a disability, what barriers do you face in higher education?
A lot of it is like communication, lack of communication. So if a lift is down, that like it's not conveyed to us as students, and then we're kind of the ones that are discovering the issue, and then when we go back and we're saying like, oh well, this wasn't conveyed to us, or da 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 da, they're like, oh sorry, didn't have you on that list. I'm like, no guys, sorry, like I actually am disabled. Hey, like and then yeah, access issues are massive. Like when a lift goes down, how is my accessible room still on the 3rd floor? Doesn't really make much sense.
Yeah, brilliant. I don't want to keep going in the same order. Does anyone else want to hop in on that question first?
Yeah, absolutely. I think communication is a huge issue. I think also knowing where to go and how to access the supports that are already existing is a massive issue. And for a lot of students, it's about advocating for yourself. So a lot of people, when they enter higher level education, they won't have been able to advocate for themselves in the past, because that is often not possible or not available in secondary education. And so it's the first time that they're by themselves having to try and get the reasonable accommodations that they need. Yeah. And so I think that a lot of students struggle with that transition at the start of college and for later years as well. So I think that is also a really big barrier for a lot of people in general.
For me, it would be the invisible disability. That I'm autistic, but I would have a physical disability as well. And people don't see it because I'm functioning, or I appear functioning, but they don't know what it takes to function. And also the lack of recognition of being a carer, if you have children or other roles, that can also impact on your university life. And it's not really taken into consideration around timetable planning or accommodations.
Yeah, so I agree with all the points raised there. So for me, being a wheelchair user, the physical environment is quite important to me. University of Limerick, some parts are very modern, some parts are old. And again, back to the timetabling issue from the start, I don't believe there's a LENS report for a reason, your learning education needs summary. So I feel that the lecturers, sometimes they're accommodating, other times they're not. but I think it creates a lot of pressure at the start of the semester. You end up missing out classes, which obviously you don't want. You're behind on coursework, then when it comes to the end, you have to catch up. So, I mean, engaging with disability services from the very start is very important, and advocating for yourself, because no one is going to do it for you unless you make yourself known and build a strong relationship with the team, with your teaching staff and all that. So I think that's very important.
Yeah, and just also to bring, I suppose, a further education point of view to the table as well, is a lot of students who might be coming through the traditional second level education system who are receiving DARE. A lot of colleges will kind of keep note of those names and register them with disability support services, or they'll be on those email lists originally. Whereas if you're coming in for the further education side, you don't have that access point as well. You really have to know that you need to look for these things. Nobody else is really going to come and get you. So I relate to so many of those points on communication and on just trying to be that person that has to go, I actually need these things, and nearly fighting for something you're just so entitled to, and every other student should be too. Elaine, I might come to you first with the next question. On what does your education institute do well that helps you succeed as a student with a disability?
So once you're willing to reach out to the disability supports, you'll get your LEN support. You submit it to your lecturers, and then your document is out there for your reasonable accommodations. But we also have a really good representation of the student voice. We have a programme called the Access Ambassadors, and there's 8 students who sit in that, and they represent the students with disabilities population UCC. And we meet both with just student. We run events. At the moment, there's currently a pilot for a sensory lunch space where you can go have lunch in a quiet room or talk to one of the ambassadors to see how do I access supports, or I'm having this issue, what can I do? And through that then it links the students in with professionals, different organisations in the college. There's a reverse mentoring programme where a lot of the ambassadors are actually talking to professionals. So the student voice is actually, it's like coming from the bottom up. So the student's voice is being recognised more and more throughout the college through these things.
I think that's so nice to hear. Like, a lot of the time when we're talking about disability, it could be like we've mentioned just at the start there with those questions, it's the hard side. But there are positive aspects too. There are things that we do well, or different colleges do well, that we can learn from each other. But ultimately, I do think the best way to learn is on the ground, is talking with students, and it's why I think even this panel is so great to have so many of you in this room who are coming from those styles of backgrounds. So I might come to you, Cal, next. Do you want to answer the same question?
Yeah.
Do you want me to read it again, or are you okay?
The same question?
Yeah.
Yeah, no, I think absolutely hearing that you have like those lunch spaces being put in place is really, really nice. I think having spaces for students to exist and be themselves and kind of learn from their peers and from people who have been through the same things is really important, because that is how you end up being able to actually advocate for yourself in the end, and kind of you feel more supported, you feel more included in your education institute. I think students are much more capable of succeeding in their higher education if they feel like they belong in the place that they are going to. And the only way to do that is by having those spaces. So I know that for my institute, so Maynooth University, we have some support and peer groups. We have the neurodiversity support group and other groups for other minority groups as well, which is really lovely. And the Maynooth Access program, that office, has people there who are there to be like a point of contact for students. Yeah. So I think those are generally really positive ways of having a good impact on your students within your institute.
Yeah, brilliant. John, do you want to comment on that as well?
Yeah, so definitely, as I said before, having a supportive team around you is very, very important. There's no point you leaving a problem, go to the very end and say, oh, well, here's a problem now, when you have made it yourself known to the people that can help you, whether that be academic staff or disability services or the equivalent. So in UL, lecturers normally are quite flexible. So in terms of recording lectures, in case you miss time, or even just for note taking, because then you can go back, listen to the recording at the end of the day, and then make your notes instead of trying to rush writing during a lecture or a tutorial, which just takes up a lot of time and your concentration can drift away. Again, I suppose quite study spaces. We've quite an amazing library in University of Limerick, great space, study rooms that you can book for just some quiet time, whether with a group or on your own. So that's nice to have on our doorstep.
Yeah, brilliant. Cal, I might come to you to start off the next question. So what does feeling included in education look like to you?
So to me, inclusivity would look like equity first. So if you aren't able to recognize the differences in your student body, you will not be able to address those differences. So you really need to start with understanding that people are going to have different needs. People are going to approach higher education in a different way. And that is really the basis of everything. It is having that awareness that there are going to be people who are going to have different needs, and not trying to come at it from, oh, everybody needs to be equal. It's not about equality, it's about equity, it's about understanding the needs and being able to respond to those. And I think to link back to what you mentioned earlier, there's that intersectional aspect as well of trying to approach students who might come from different access backgrounds and might have like a variety of things. Might be mature students, might be carers, they might be coming from low-income backgrounds or anything like that. And so it's having that awareness as well that it is not only about their disability, there might be other things going on in their lives, and trying to learn more about what their struggles are might be also really beneficial and lead to a more inclusive university as a whole.
I think that's a brilliant point. You know, our brains just love to put things into boxes, and unfortunately disability is just one of those boxes that as soon as we learn this, it's like our brain just categorizes people off into this. And we forget that realistically people can be in 10 different boxes of our brain. We're always, I mean, we're multi-sectional people. We fall into so many categories, and I think that's definitely a huge challenge that people with disabilities or learners with disabilities face in further and higher education. Chantal, do you want to come in on that one as well? Do you want me to reread the question?
No, it's all
okay,
good.
brilliant.
I actually did an essay with regards to your point last year for my jurisprudence module. So it was like, what does a just society look like to you? And I got to speak a lot about disabilities because I am the only physical disability within like my year, so that was quite good. Yeah, just that like accessibility isn't putting me on a pedestal above someone. It's just putting me on a level playing field. I think that's the biggest thing, is that like if we have that mindset and that knowledge that like, okay, yeah, Chantal's disabled, grand. She needs this support, grand. That's not putting me up here and giving me like so many benefits. It's just including me, making sure I'm in that space, making sure that I don't have to like take the whole weekend to recover at the end of it. Like I've used all my spoons in college. No, I don't have to use all my spoons in college because there's this support here. I'm included in this space. I'm given this access needs. I'm given whatever, really. Yeah, it's just making sure I'm included. I'm with my peers. I'm not left out. I can still have social time at the end of the day with like whoever, or I can do activities outside of the college. And it's not just, you have to go to college. That's all you do for the day. Go home then and sleep for like 17 hours to try to recover.
No, 100%. I think that's, and again, college and further education are meant to give you that time and opportunity to grow in other areas of your life too.
Definitely.
And it is something that, again, because our brains like to just box people off, and sometimes we have to check them. They can be unconscious biases, even when we do. I'm sure any of us standing up here, we've probably done it a million times before. We're not immune to this just because we're part of this community. Sean, do you want to pop in on this one?
Yeah, so I suppose for me, it's not like feeling like an exception to someone, or that there's, you know, an inconvenience. Like, so if anything happens, normally I'm quite a positive person, you know, I don't think of things too much, but I suppose when you think about it, those things are important at the end of the day. It might be something small in the moment, but then when you think back, you know, it might be a big problem. I suppose, you know, we all like to look at the positives as much as we can, without having too many negatives, but having my needs understood without having to justify them. So sometimes, you know, you register with disability services, you have your needs disclosed and your lecturers know, but sometimes you might have to go the extra step and, you know, just reiterate to them every so often, which is grand, but, you know, it takes a lot of time, a lot of emails back and forward, which, you know, just takes away time from your studies, really, you know.
Yeah, spoons you could have spent differently that you
Yeah,
shouldn't
yeah.
have to go and chase up. And again, no other student really should have to go and think about all these things all the time, especially when there's things like when you mentioned the lens report as well. they're all there for a reason. They're all there to make sure that you can focus on what you need to focus on, which is your studies. Elaine, do you want to pop in on this?
Inclusion is like feeling included for me would be just someone taking consideration, like in regards to, say, how the lectures are presented and reducing the need to have to go up and say, excuse me, do you mind sending me the slides before the lecture, or can we get recordings? It's really simple that like you can choose what you want to be included in college outside of your lectures, but for just simple things we put in place to make you feel that it's accessible all the way without it being, as you say, using up your extra spoons to go, I don't have to disclose my disability because of my lens report. But then sometimes you feel like you have to go up and go, hello, I'm autistic. Can you please send me slides? So it's really simple. It's just a bit of consideration into how you teach, how you approach something, and it can be done at the start.
Yeah. I think my favourite part of doing panels like this or having discussions and being a part of this amazing advisory group with 18 other people is that no matter how broad disability is and those experiences are, the voice of students with disabilities is always so unanimous, and that shows time and time again in how we are able to link so many parts of these questions together. It's going to come down to these same simple things that are absolutely achievable. We just need to unfortunately keep that fight on, and hopefully this will just kind of integrate into society. But it really, I suppose, should have by now. Like you said, nobody should have to spend those extra spoons, those extra few minutes, those just trying to go through their studies. You have every right to an education. So my final question here, Sean, I might come to you first, is if you had a magic wand and could change one thing about third level education, what would you do?
Well, I suppose, we talk about student voice, and in UL, student voice is heard quite a lot at different events, but I think, hearing a voice is grand, but, action needs to come out of that voice. Like, when decisions are being made for a student with a disability or a decision that may affect someone with a disability, did they actually ask someone that decision impacts to say, will this suit you? Does it not suit you? You would hope that it does, but sometimes it mightn't. And then it becomes too late to say, oh, the decision is done now and we can't go back on it. I suppose another thing as well, I'm working with the Inclusive Practice and Universal Design Committee in UL at the moment for 8 months placement. And there's fantastic work being done. A few of my colleagues are here with me today. So I look forward to continuing my journey, learning about universal design, and hopefully to make a real change in the future.
Brilliant. So is there anyone else who'd like to hop in on that question?
Yeah, I can go ahead. I think this will resonate with most people in the room. I think what we need is resources because the initiatives are there, the people are there, we have the ideas, and obviously there's still more that we can do, and there's more that can be done and needs to be done, more research and stuff like that. But in the end, what you need, if you have that magic wand, is funding. And it is those resources and it is those extra people, because the main issue that we face every time when I talk to students in my university, it's, oh, I haven't heard from my disability advisor in the MAP office for 3 months because they have 100 students that they're taking care of and they cannot reach out to me. They do not have time. They do not have the people or the manpower for it. And so I think in the end, that is really the main thing that we need, is just that, resources and funding. Because you need to invest in your students for them to be able to thrive and succeed in their education.
I think everybody would have the same answer. If you had a magic wand, money.
Yeah.
Yeah, Elaine, do you want to come in on that?
I'd like for everyone to be a bit more open-minded about neurodiversity training, because I find that unless people are basically informed, accommodations won't be met. And it needs to be done at a university level, so system level of university where it's mandatory for training to be given to everyone, regardless of whether you're there 60 years, you're coming in the first time. And even bring it into teacher training, but make it an add-on for existing teachers so that they know, like, even simple things like if you meet one person with autism, meet one person with autism. Because they might think that because this worked for an autistic student before, it's going to work for this autistic student. You're like, no, that was that person, I'm me. So it's, again, it's really simple. It's just about opening your mind, and even for them to experience what it's like to be neurodiverse, to see what the challenges are in a classroom or a lecture. I'm not asking for much.
Chantal?
Yeah, I think I just back what everyone else said, to be honest. Money is a big thing, and funding and resources are such a big thing. Like, the money can go into having, like, your needs assessment and saying that, like, oh, you can get this resource and this resource and this resource, but unless we're implementing it on a day-to-day basis, it's not doing anything for us. And then saying, like, 3 months down the line, like, people haven't been contacted, like, that's a lot. And that takes a lot of, like, power then on us to have to come back and be like, hi guys, sorry, we're just following up. So resources definitely would be fabulous. Accessible buildings, guys, accessible buildings. Please, just bring them back.
I think they're all such wonderful answers, and again, being able to reflect on that the system does have some good parts, but there's also so many areas that just need that bit of extra work, that bit of extra resources, that bit of extra funding. So I know now that we might be able to open it to the floor for some questions. Yeah. We're just getting a roaming mic going for 2 seconds. If you just want to throw your hands up so people know to come over to you.
One, two, we go.
Thank you very much for speaking so eloquently today. Can you give an example of a really good practice that made a difference for you in the classroom? Anybody?
I can, yeah. So for me, like, because I have chronic pain and I have, like, multiple dislocations every week, I can miss, like, lectures quite frequently. So on, like, a lecturer level, like, I went to them individually and I was like, look, I do need support. I understand none of you guys feel comfortable with lectures being recorded, but, like, just email me. Let me know what's been covered. Or if there's extra on slides, like, email me. And my lecturers have been so good, like, on their level. I won't say, like, the kind of access office have been brilliant, but lecturers on an individual basis, they're so good, they're so understanding, they're so kind. They've emailed me, like, the slide sets, cut it down and been like, these are the main points that we've gone through. Hi, like, we've gone through this question and da-da-da-da-da through this lecture today. We'll be moving on to this and the next one. And, like, just having that minute of, like, here's the info, so good.
I think I might pop in on that one as well and just give, if you need some more time to think, is the biggest difference to me was this yes and attitude. It was just a simple, when I first applied, I was like, I want this to be very clear that this is what I need to succeed here if you want me to come here, because I had bad experiences before. And it was this, okay, well, what do you need? And being able to go, this is an example of some things, if you could put in place, this would be really helpful. And they just went, oh, okay, that's completely fine. What's the issue?
Yeah.
And it was just so refreshing to come from, you know, maybe where that wasn't present, just somewhere where that was present. And even being able to walk in on that first day and know that everything was sorted. When I walked in the door, I knew exactly what was going to happen. Everything was broken down far beyond what I'd asked. And it was, they did what they had to do, and they just took it that one step further as well. And it was just done without needing to be like, I need this, please, can I have this? I'm not going to be able to partake in this the way I want to if you don't help me or meet me halfway. So I think for me anyways, that biggest part was that, oh, okay, that's completely fine. So what? Attitude. Do any of you want to?
I'd say in a similar way as well, one of our lecturers has not only all of his PowerPoints and slides up on our Moodle, but he also will record, like do a voice recording during the lecture, because he doesn't feel comfortable being on camera, but he will have that recorded and he will put it into, like, translate to text, and we'll also have the text on the Moodle. And all of that he does without anyone having to ask. And I think that feeling of not being just an afterthought and not having to beg for your accommodations and not having to, like, chase people for them, that is really what makes the difference. It's having those professors who just know that there are students that will need this and are willing and able to go above and beyond to provide something that all of the different students are going to be able to access. I think, yeah, not feeling like an afterthought has been really, really nice.
Yeah, Elaine or Sean, do either of you want to?
What helped me was having an advisor that was able to identify what I need in the future, because I wasn't thinking about, say, having big exams, because a lot of my exams have been in class, but then just to have like a just in case, do you know, like it wasn't just beyond what I needed now. It was like, oh, if you have a 3-hour exam, you will appreciate a room on your own and noise cancelling headphones and all these little things that you don't think you need. Because when I started college first, I dropped out after 1 year because I didn't know I was autistic, so I really struggled. So when I went back 20 odd years later, I knew what I needed, but my advisor looked further and went, I'm putting this in just in case you need it. And even if I never called on it, it's there for me without having to argue for it. So those little things.
Yeah, that's a brilliant point, Sean.
Yeah, I think what has worked quite well for me is, so some of the time in UL, some rooms are inaccessible, and you know, if they have to be changed with timetabling, that can take some time. But I can nearly say all of my lecturers have met me one-to-one, like after class, even though I still missed the class, but you know, they're making up for it to meeting me. They could spend the same amount of time, an hour with me, one-to-one, and that was really, really good support to have. So if I didn't have that, I don't know where I'd be, but I'm very thankful for that.
And disability needs are ever changing. I think you actually brought up like such interesting points on what you might need now might not be what you need next year. These things do change, and having adaptability in that, and like you said, the just in case, or having just those one-to-ones, those times to be able to speak, makes such a difference to people. So I hope that answers your question.
We have time for one more if there is. Anyone? One more here.
Hi, thank you all for speaking so eloquently there. My question is around technology. Do you think technology has assisted or prevented your access to education?
I'll pop in first then for that one. I suppose when I think about the very basic system of, like, Moodle's been mentioned a few times, ultimately without Moodle, it would have been huge barriers to access, because you're able to upload your slides, you're able to upload your assignments. So even if you're not there to hand it in, or even if you're not there to see the slides, at least they're there. You can definitely go back on them, and they're not time restricted as well. Where if you miss that class PowerPoint presentation, it's gone forever into the back rooms of your OneDrive, where they're just never to be pulled out again until next year, and nobody knows what happens, and you're reading off someone else's notes, and you're going, I have no idea what that says. So being able to, I suppose, interpret your own documents, and even just down to the simplicity of having something like Moodle or Canvas, I know there's kind of loads of systems that do a very similar job. I think that would definitely be a point where it's assisted people in being able to engage with university content or further education content, even if you're not there, or even if you don't engage with it the traditional way that a teacher or lecturer wants you to engage with it, that you have the freedom to maybe put it to from speech to text or vice versa, or just engage with it in a way that helps you learn. I'm not sure if anybody else has any point they want to come in on for that.
Yeah, I will say, well, overall, I do think that technology is beneficial for all students. I do think that sometimes there is the assumption that technology is good enough.
Yeah.
And that we don't need more. And so sometimes professors will be like, oh, well, I put the slides up, and you have you have been given by your office or this recording device. So that's enough. I don't need to do more. I don't need to check in with you. So while the technologies are extremely beneficial, I do think it's still important to know that won't work for everyone. And that there will always be someone who needs something different. And so it's working with students to improve those technologies, but also keeping in with those one-on-one check-ins and keeping up with additional needs that might crop up anyway.
Yeah, brilliant. I'm not sure if anybody else has any. Oh, yeah, brilliant.
On a negative side, I find that the lecturers who are like, oh, talk to you about anything, but just don't come up to me in person. Contact me through email or Canvas, and if you contact me past a certain time, I'm not going to look at it for a week. Technology is great for the supports, say for lecture slides, recordings, but if you can't go up to a lecture and say, look, I'm having this problem, and sometimes you might need to show them, or you might be like, this actually is what works for me, look, this is what I do in my other thing, is there any chance I could get something like this? If you can't show them or explain in person, it doesn't translate very well via email. And if it's something that's for an exam subject, you can't really be waiting 2 or 3 weeks for someone to maybe tell you no, or maybe not understand what you're asking for. So it can be a barrier as well between person-to-person communication.
Yeah, definitely.
I have both, to be honest. I have positives and negatives. So positive-wise, like our access office are really good. They like sat down with me at the start of this year, and they were like, okay, so you can use Notebook LM, use AI. It's there for you. It's going to help you. So even on Notebook LM, I know it was spoken about earlier, but you can like pop your slides into it. Now, it doesn't have to be a PDF. That's the only annoying thing about it. It takes that little bit of extra time to get started, but when you have it, then it's really good. And even if you have like a question or you don't understand a certain point, that you can just be like, please explain this further. Please explain this in a different way. And it's there for you. And then I think the only negative about like tech is that certain lecturers can kind of be like, oh, well, I'm out of office. I'm da-da-da-da-da. Even from quite early in the day. And you're kind of like, these are your lecture hours. I'm emailing you and you're going, I won't look at my emails for 3 weeks. Like, sorry, what? So I'll have to like try catch them in person, which makes it more difficult because we can't always be there. So then I'm like, oh no, I'm after missing like 2 lectures, da 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 da. I wonder what's been covered. They're not responding. The other people in the lectures, sorry, Kaylee.
You're grand.
The other people in the lectures are like, oh, jeez, I missed that one there too. Do you know what happened? No, that's why I'm asking you. Like, so yeah, sometimes information can just be missed, and I think that's a big thing.
Sean, do you have anything to add to that?
Yeah, I think so. In my experience, technology does help me. So like I was saying, those one-to-one sessions, if you do miss a time due to appointments or whatever, you can go back over the lecture slides that are provided and then, populate your questions that you have based on what you don't understand. So then there's less time taken when you do meet the lecturer. Instead of going through a full set of slides, you have specific questions that you want answered, and then you can develop on them from there.
I think that was absolutely brilliant, and I do think that's all we have time for now, but I'd like to thank you all so much for the time you've given the students today.
Well, how fantastic were they? Can we go another round of applause, please? That was exceptional. People who saw me in the last session, I was talking about my brain just being destroyed. I'm actually ready for another conference now. I'm like, yeah, let's go. So thanks so much, guys. I suppose this group is really, really important to a head's work. It's coordinated by my colleague Cara over there. And I suppose it's really important to heads work and to AMLÉ's work in giving us a connection to what's happening on the ground, helping us to shape what we're doing. And just to flag one of the things that we'd ask you to share with disabled learners in your institutions is that these guys curate the Power of Disability Conference, which is happening. I think there was leaflets. There's probably on tables. If there isn't, it's on April 11th. I think I'm right, Karen, I'm getting the date right there. It's April 11th, and it's a hybrid event created by students for students. So it's hybrid. It's taking place both online Zoom and in RCSI, the Royal College of Surgeons in Dublin. So yeah, can we give the guys one final round of applause, and then we'll close. You guys want to stay there, and I'm just going to close now. So just to give you a few closing remarks, I won't spend too long because we let you out. I just wanted to really say a few thanks. My mind is buzzing with ideas. So firstly, to thank all the contributors across the 2 days. It's been such a rich covering of so many different areas, and I suppose the framing of altitude, looking at that broad expanse between the connections between these 4 pillars. I think these conferences are getting more interesting in those zones because we're starting to make much more explicit connections between professionals in different zones, which is lovely to see. I want to pay give a huge thanks to everyone in the head. this gang, I think I've had so many compliments about the team in ahead as we move through this event. I always get a little bit emotional when I'm doing this because I love the guys a huge amount, and I think you can probably see it in the interactions that we have with each other, that there's a great connection between this team, and it's a massive team effort that goes behind. You wouldn't believe the amount of WhatsApp messages that it takes during an event like this to make it all run smoothly. So I want to pay massive credit to the whole team, but especially, I hope she's in the room. There she is over there, Caoimhe Cronin, who's the master of ceremonies. Can you believe this is Caoimhe's first attempt at this gig? She moved into the events officer role late last year, so this is her first conference, and it's been exceptional work. So well done, Caoimhe. Also, just to say that we have a colleague actually leaving us today in ahead. I don't know if Nicole is in the room. Is Nicole Marinos in? There she is. Yeah. So I just wanted to. Nicole is going off on a journey to study human rights and disability law. But we've really enjoyed working with Nicole over the time she's gotten to know us. So just to pay tribute to what you've given to us. And I think we've done enough thanking of funders and partners and stakeholders across, so I won't waste any more time, but just to say a big thanks to all of you for giving your time and energy to the event over the last 2 days. I know we're all really busy professionals. The day job doesn't stop when we come to events like this, so it is a commitment, time and effort and mental energy. So just thank you so much for sticking with us over the last 2 days, and we hope you've gotten something really good out of it. If you have any feedback, there is a feedback form. I think it was circulated on slides earlier, but it's also going out via email. If I understand today, you should receive an automated email. If you just take those 2 or 3 minutes to give us that feedback, it's really, really important to help us make sure that the next event that we can kind of replicate what's been done well, but also learn from things that haven't gone so well, or types of content. So please do that. And that, I'll let you go off and have lovely weekends, and thank you for joining us over the last few days.